Sometimes when you're playing a game for the first time, you don't realise just how special it is. You don't realise the impact it's going to leave on you until it happens. It's not just the idea of wanting to replay a game for the first time to experience all the same feelings again. It's about how that game will forever sit in a special place for you. It could be because it was a game that you loved playing when you were a kid, or it's a game that you checked out as an adult and you were able to connect to on an emotional level. These are the games that have left an impact on you, on me, and for some games, they've left an impact on the industry and communities that love these titles. Today I'm going to be discussing the games that left an impact on me and my experience of gaming over the last 21 years of my life, but more importantly, understanding why these games left the feelings that they did, and what I believe is truly important in gaming, but most importantly, I want to talk about the games that I love and reminisce on them. So sit back and grab a cup of tea and we will discuss the games that left an impact. Just before we do exactly that, if you do enjoy video essay content like this, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. Currently I'm doing a video every 3 weeks and I'm streaming from time to time, so make sure to jump in every now and again. I also have a Patreon if you would like early access to videos like this and some extra content focused around me and conversations with you guys, so if that does interest you, you can support the channel for as little as $1 a month, or you can get the XR1 tier as well and get early access to all the content. And lastly, we do have the Discord. It's slowly climbing up to 150 members, so make sure to come on by if you're interested in joining us. We host a monthly game club, kind of like a book club but for games, so if you are interested, then make sure to come on by. Now though, let's talk about the games that left an impact. I wanted to revisit the games that impacted me the most over the years. I've played some games that have left an impact in a bad way. Looking at you, Valhalla. But today's video isn't going to be about the games that left a bad taste in my mouth. It's about the games that I really loved, and looking back on it left me with something. It could be an emotional state that I never thought I would feel when playing a game, or it could be setting itself in stone into my identity as the person that I am today, and a lover of a particular type of game. Before we talk about the games themselves, I wanted to talk about what leaving an impact means to me. Over time, thinking and ruminating on this idea, I've concluded that a game typically has one of these 3 things if they've left an impact on you. The first and most controversial thing to say today is nostalgia. The game could be genuinely amazing, but on the internet, they don't like you talking about nostalgia, especially if it's a part of your argumentation as to why you love a game. Another is that they have some weighty emotional impact on you due to whatever reason. An example outside of games would be books. You get this really bittersweet feeling when you finish reading something. Greenlights by Matthew McConaughey is an example for me. I'm currently rereading it, but I have gone through it 2 other times, and every single time I hit the end of this book, I always wish that there was another 250 pages of stories, knowledge, and wisdom to share. This happened to me with something like RDR2. I felt this massive feeling of sadness when I completed the game the first time round. Not because of the emotional story, but because I knew my time with the game for now had come to an end. And in a way, I wanted it to last longer. I wanted to be able to be with that character for a longer time period than I was. Something about those games, movies, books, or conversations that leave you wanting to continue on for longer and longer really impacts you, as it's leaving you with something of value in your life. That last one can be a dangerous tightrope to walk, due to the obvious addiction complications that can come in. What I've found is that the things that I truly love and found passion for over the years can be an antidote to the feelings I was facing in harder moments of my life. I'll mention it again, but I am slowly working on a video about video game addiction. So if you do have any stories that you want to tell me about your own experiences with that, or what you think could have been or is gaming addiction, please let me know in the Discord. Shoot me a DM. Make sure to stay in the Discord though, because if you do have your settings turned off for that, then I can't actually respond to you. Those 3 reasons are the ultimate trifecta, and you'll probably see a lot of that in the games that you love. Today, not only will I be discussing the games that have done exactly those things for me, but I wanted to explore the reasons for this. Why did I connect to some of these games on such a deep level? Or why do I feel the feelings of being at home when wandering around some open world games? I wanted to dive into this topic so that I could try and get an understanding of this myself on a more deep level and why I connected with some of the games that I do, and hopefully it will do something for you as well. For some, they might just say, well, the game's good, that's why I love it so much. But I personally think that the games we love and will defend even with their flaws is because of the impacts that they have left on our lives, and what they have been able to protect you from in moments of your life. Today I'll be talking about a few different games in great detail, games like Skyrim, Assassin's Creed 2, Red Dead Redemption 2, and more. I'll also talk about some other games that I haven't spoken too much on in prior videos, and talk about the feelings that they gave me in those same moments. The real end goal of today is to explore the topic with you, see if it opens up your understanding as to the reasons why you love the games that you do. And for me, it's to share more of what I actually love with you guys, to take off the mask as well off the internet of what is exiled and talk more about the games that have affected me as the person who actually plays them, instead of the internet idea of who I am. I'll be going all the way through from things around me playing games when I was growing up through to the issues that have gone into my adult life with perfectionist tendencies around ditching this hobby and eventually coming back to it. So there's no better place for me to start with this video than Skyrim. I was 9 when this game came out. I'm not going to go through my whole history and my experience with this game, as that is what my love letter to Skyrim video is all about. Instead, I want to talk about what connected me so much to the world, the lore, the stories being told, and what makes me feel so at home when walking around a place that at times is cold and lonely, and others warm and vibrant. Which, for me to start this conversation, I need to talk about one part of my personality that really makes me love this exact type of game, which is that I love medieval history, which means I also love the aesthetic that it brings, the mood it creates, and I've always loved imagining stories, wars, and what old towns would have looked like back in those times. Everything about this love I have towards that time period makes it very easy to fall in love with Skyrim. It's your sandbox to feel like a lonely traveller, making your way to the next city or village. On the road, you might get stopped by some singing drunkards or bandits wanting to steal some coin. This game, for all of its amazing fantasy elements, really makes you feel that medieval fantasy that I love. That other part of the game that I mentioned, the fantasy part, is also what I absolutely adore. I find that learning about worlds like Elder Scrolls, Middle-earth, The Witcher, and Game of Thrones fascinating for everything from their fantastical elements, whether that's understanding why the Thalmor is so important to the grand narrative of what's happening on the continent of Tamriel, or learning more about the political disputes and desires of rivals. A game like Skyrim is able to encompass so many different things and make you feel at home within the world at the same time. Role-playing is also another massive aspect of this game. I always struggle with role-playing now, getting behind a story and a character. I always just do whatever I want to do, but when I was younger, a memory that is imprinted into my mind to this day was the feeling of wonder and feeling so small in the world of Skyrim as I was hunting in the vast fields that when I was younger felt like they went on forever. I would put on the fur armor set and head out hunting. After a full day of sunlight had started to dawn, I would head back into the city and go into the Bannered Mare for some ale and a cheese wheel. This is something that I would do, and I remember just enjoying. I even remember spending a whole day cutting wood outside of the Bannered Mare, hoping that I could eventually save up enough money to buy a house, because I had found out that it was 5,000 septums to buy a house. However, I didn't realise that I needed to do the Bleak Falls Barrow questline to do so. And for as much as I did love role-playing and the innocence I had when originally playing this game, I didn't realise how much I would truly love this game until eventually taking on that quest. So I ventured forth and went out to the scary world that my 9-year-old self was terrified of, and looking to take down my first lot of Draugr. During my time really getting into the world of Skyrim and the stories being told, I was a really young kid. I would sit there and play for hours on end, and it was the thing that me and some of my friends wanted to do. It would just disconnect me particularly from life for a little bit. Yes, life as a kid is not actually as stressful, obviously, when you get older and you can look back on those things, but it doesn't mean that those worries weren't actually relatively similar to the worries that you have today, because worrying and stress and all that is just relative to the situation you're in. It can still feel extreme no matter the situation. For me growing up, I would dive into this game whenever my parents were arguing, which would happen on a regular basis. Dealing with that, obviously, when you're a kid is definitely not fun, and listening to shouting, slamming, and just dealing with random small family syndrome issues is not particularly great. And what I mean by small family syndrome, I don't know if it's an actual real thing. However, I've heard a lot of people say the same sort of thing, which is when you have a really small family, for some reason there's always drama, there's always something that's being focused on that everyone has to be involved in some way. That added to the fact that when I was in school I felt stupid due to my dyslexia. I was teased and borderline bullied for doing any form of YouTube videos when I was younger and that age, and just generally not being able to do well with anything that didn't inherently interest me in any way in school. So all of that just pushed me to want to spend more and more time diving deeper into the world of Skyrim in particular, as it would allow me to disconnect myself for a little bit into a different reality that I was enjoying way more. With Skyrim, I'd find myself wandering around the world for hours on end, seeing the beautiful landscapes, hiking up mountains to then find Daedric warriors protecting some shrine. I'd find myself loving the route from Falkreath to Markarth, finding the blend of warm tones and lush landscapes to be really appealing to walk through. I'd love stumbling across new caves, encampments, and random conversations. It all brought the world to life and made it feel like a true adventure. Most importantly though, for me, it acted as a second home, somewhere I could go to when I didn't really want to think about anything life-wise and just get lost in. Even to this day, I will jump on and love wandering around the world of Skyrim, even though I know pretty much every single little spot around the map, but for some reason, no matter how many times I load up into this game, I feel that sense of wonder and that feeling of something special being around the corner. On top of the world, we have the characters that inhabit that said world. One criticism Skyrim always gets that I struggle to get behind is the view that characters in this game just don't matter or they lack any emotional reason to care about them. On a surface level, this might have some validity, but in my opinion, it all falls apart when you just take a moment to have a conversation with so many of these characters. They might not give you heart-wrenching performances from outstanding voice actors, but when you listen to their conversations between family members or just them talking to themselves or you having a conversation with them, you end up feeling way more as you learn so much about them and the people they are representing. You'll learn so much about the lore of the world, these characters, and it builds so much of that world that you're inhabiting for that short period of time just by getting engaged with those conversations. I love that in Skyrim, almost every single NPC has a purpose. They might not have full-fledged storylines or tons of lines of dialogue, but almost all of them that exist for a reason, and you can almost have a conversation with pretty much every NPC. This game might not have thousands upon thousands of NPCs in it, but every single one has time dedicated to them to make them feel like their own character. The music, however, is something that heavily connects those feelings of impact for me. Music acts as a time capsule. Whenever I hear the Skyrim soundtrack, it will always bring me back to feeling lost within the world that is Skyrim. Over time, this music has become my go-to thing to listen to if I'm feeling stressed and I just want to de-stress from those situations. It's also the thing that I put on in the background if I want to sit and concentrate for a little bit. The music within Skyrim is considered so amazing that even the people that ultra mod the game don't touch the music that came with it in the first place, which should be considered one hell of a feat. The music just adds to that sense of joy and ambience to the world. Whenever I'm thinking about the game, it always makes me feel somewhat cozy no matter what I'm doing. What this game is able to pull off with its music and overall ambience is truly something special. The game at moments can feel incredibly cold and lonely whilst you're wandering across the northern parts of Skyrim, yet even in those moments you still feel somewhat cozy and at home. You could make your way to Windhelm feeling those freezing temperatures and worry about some beast jumping out at you at any moment, but the moment you walk into one of those taverns, you become cozy, warm, and it feels amazing. This feeling is the feeling that I've linked heavily to this game. The feeling of coziness, the feeling of comfort in the moment of discomfort in your life. I want to mod the hell out of this game at some point soon, as I've been playing without mods for a very long time, ever since release for that matter. If I'm honest, I've never been bored of the generic version of vanilla Skyrim, so it's always a complaint I've never agreed with. I simply see all the love that the community has put into this game over the last decade and want to experience a load of it for myself, along with the feelings that Skyrim already gave me. And the main reason that I want to mod this game as much as possible is because I want it to be this big project that I can work on and take full advantage of when inevitably something happens and I decide I want to sink some hours into the world itself and get lost within Skyrim, but with a new lick of paint. The game might not be a masterpiece in every technical way, but as I've stated in many videos prior, I don't think that that is the most important thing. Yes, I want a game that is fun and works well, but I want to feel something out of the game and feel like it truly matters in some way to me in the gaming experience that I'm having. amazing. Obviously, you can have games that are technically amazing and are able to provoke that feeling out of you, which is absolutely amazing. However, again, I don't think games need to be a technical masterpiece to give you those sense of feelings. And I think one of the easiest examples of saying that is because, you know, most games that all of us say are so amazing weren't technical masterpieces that impacted us when we were younger. And as you can probably tell from this conversation that I've just had with you about Skyrim, I truly do love that game. But it's time for me to move on and talk about the next game that has left a massive impact on me, left me wanting more, loving a franchise for a long time, and it kept me feeling that there was some hope for the future of this franchise and it would keep it alive. However, I'm not too sure nowadays, which is Assassin's Creed 2. This game was the game that made me interested in any form of the history around the Renaissance. This franchise is the reason that I found myself interested in learning about many parts of history. The first time I played it, it was sat at the coffee table when my friend decided to bring it round and we played it on the TV in the lounge. I ended up loving it from the get-go. Something about the game was just really interesting and fun. Looking back, I know what a lot of those reasons are. This game makes you feel like you're in the time setting that it wants to take you to. It might not look like it now, but if you played this game when it first came out, it felt like you were walking around this capsule in history. I love seeing the architecture of that time and being able to take leaps of faith and jump from building to building. Everything about this game is set up in a way to make you do nothing more than want to run around it. I wouldn't even class it as the desire to explore like you would with other open world games. I think it's just the desire to want to run across rooftops and feel really cool. It was also one of those games that set up the conversation of the grander narrative, something that I know a lot of games, shows and movies do, but Assassin's Creed has always been able to find that really cool balance of the experience of being involved firsthand with those things and still feeling as if you're on the sidelines. Not knowing so much that it's obvious, but knowing just enough to get you on edge. With this game, they did a really good job of being able to make you slowly develop that character's knowledge, and it felt really fitting and understanding into the moments of the game. It added to the overall experience for me personally. However, this game left an impact on me for 3 reasons. One is that it's such an incredibly unique idea. There's no other game that is similar to Assassin's Creed 2, in every form that you can even think. So due to its uniqueness, you have this level of love for something that's just novel. I also found that watching Ezio grow as a character and the help that he got along the way to be something special. The impact that Ezio as a character has made on the fan base, let alone me, is a sight to behold within the gaming space. He always gets spoken about because of his charisma and charm, but I think the true reason why many of us love his character to this day is because the story being told came from a place of love and was developed from a place of love. Ubisoft put way more effort into this game and crafting it into something special than what they've done with many of the modern day stories, and it really made it hit that feeling of a human story. You get to experience all the emotions with him along the way. The final reason is yet again, this game is one that I've replayed for over a decade, loving it each time. This game for me connects me to those memories that I had with friends who loved the franchise just as much as I did when we were kids. It connects me with the memories of when the 3rd game came out and I would wake up hours before school just so I could play for a little bit longer. It connects me as well to the same thing that I mentioned earlier, acting as a distraction to what was going on in my life at the time. Games can act in the same way that music does, but I think games are slightly more special in that way, because they're so expansive at times that the 2nd, 3rd or even 15th playthrough can feel like the first time you've played it, or as good as the first time you played it, because you start uncovering new things, picking up on small details that you didn't realise before, and you're able to just enjoy the game for what it is, instead of being completely amazed by every little thing that comes your way. The game though that left a massive impact on me for both better and worse, for both the negative and positive thoughts, is Destiny and Destiny 2. Destiny was the game that me and my friends would play as a teenager. We would play it all the time. It was the topic of conversation whenever we were talking at school. For the longest time, we wouldn't even go a week without having put at least 60 hours into this game by itself. Some of my favourite memories of gaming come from this game. From memories of when we tried to do Vault of Glass for the first time, friends giving up because it took us too long to learn, to people shouting and screaming at each other through the pure joy of being able to complete something for the first time. One of the memories that I have with this exact raid was when we were all trying to get Vex for the first time, and one of our friends who died right off the bat, we were going to wipe before we ended up actually completing it, and we ended up killing Atheon that time. He ended up somehow getting Vex, even though he did nothing. in the boss fight. Let's just say people were very much not happy. Thinking back to the first time that I went flawless in Trials and how rewarding it felt to be someone who actually did something that at the time was incredibly difficult. Another amazing memory that might sound stupid and as if we shouldn't be looking at it as like a great thing, but I just remember when I was doing the House of the Wolves raid for the first time, and that raid, which isn't a proper raid obviously, was really difficult when it first came out. Me and one of my friends played that for 12 hours straight. One really nice summer feeling day anyway. I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the summer, but yeah, it was really hot and we were just playing it. Inevitably, we ended up going through so many different players as our third slot, and eventually we ended up completing the raid after 12 hours. And I remember opening my window to get fresh air, and it felt like that moment within The Hobbit where Bilbo gets out into the air of the forest from where the spiders are and he's able to breathe fresh air for the first time. That's how I felt in that moment, because I had done 12 hours of playing this game without pretty much doing anything else. I have so many amazing memories that all come from this game that I could sit off and list to you, but that would be a way longer video than what you've got right now. This game left an impact on me because it was the game that truly connected friends and deepened relationships. It was the game we all played for hours. One of the friends that I met through this game, so a person that I never knew outside of playing Destiny, was someone that I ended up going to New York with in 2020, which was really cool to see just how a friendship can be built from a hobby like this, and just how something like Destiny somehow was able to create an actual friendship, which is pretty cool. The game also left a sad impact on me. For as much as I love the game, especially when I was younger, it's also one that completely ruined me later on. From the DLCs being something that we would always get sold on this idea that it was going to be this massive big expansion that would keep us playing for months on end, but then within a month everything would be done and there was then almost nothing to do. The game was fun, but at the same time, it was also incredibly taxing. It's one of those games that literally is like having a part-time job, if not a full-time job, just to truly enjoy it. I do love Destiny, but I also absolutely despise it. I might revisit the game in the future, but for now, it is definitely a game that I have to stop myself from playing for trust issues that I have with the game itself and Bungie, but mainly also so that I can have some form of a life, because if I play that game, there will be no life left to even deal with. One thing that I've noticed that has become far more important to me when getting older is that these games provoke some emotion for me. One game that made me feel many emotions while playing, and the emotional aspects are for me the main thing that leaves an impact across all of these games, was It Takes Two. It was the first game since Halo 3 that I had played split screen. Me and my girlfriend played through the game a couple of years ago and thoroughly enjoyed our time with it. It's one of those games that I want way more of. I want many other games like this that are just fun couple-like games, so if you do have any, let me know in the comments down below. The game is just a feel-good game, and what I think it does that people truly love is tell a story that many of us can relate to. Even if your parents didn't divorce, all you need is to be a kid who has gone through many moments of your parents in hard times, and, you know, you being kind of in the center of everything. Even if it wasn't your fault, you were just there because, you know, you're their kid. You can feel those feelings as you were a kid, and you will remember how that felt. This game's impact on me was twofold. One was revisiting memories in my own life, and feeling those feelings once more. Being able to look back on them without the same feelings that I once had of worry. Instead, I can look back on them now with some form of other thoughts instead. Playing this with my girlfriend was also something that made it incredibly special. We had played games like Animal Crossing and Minecraft together, but nothing like this game. This game not only tells you a story that you can relate to when you are in a relationship, or if you're a kid and you've been dealing with these sorts of issues, but it also allows you to reflect on those experiences and enjoy that experience together. It was the fun moments of learning the mechanics and waiting for her to be able to jump across those areas that you'll always see memes of, and it was incredibly true for us as well. Everything about this game makes you want to enjoy the experience of the person in your life. As I said, one part that makes this game so impactful is remembering back to my childhood. It was one of many things that made my mind bring back old memories that held back from ever being remembered for a very long time. It was those sorts of memories that games like Skyrim, Assassin's Creed 2 and a few more made me avoid at the time and kind of buried away. The thing that's crazy to think is that I don't look back on them with extreme negativity. Being able to play games like this that approaches the themes that it does in a mature manner, yet goofy at the same time, allows you to have those thoughts things, but not allow them to be overwhelmingly negative. Also, playing this as an adult and starting to gain knowledge of the levels of stress just growing up and dealing with life as, you know, an actual adult really gives you some perspective of why your parents were the way they were or why they acted the way they did. Something that I'm going to mention that I think is valuable for anyone who is a kid or a younger adult and feels any particular way about their parents is a good quote that is from a song that I'll be surprised if many of you have heard, but the quote just goes, "Your parents did the best job they knew how to do." So yes, the memories that you might have might be awful to think on at times, but I can guarantee you, in most circumstances, it wasn't being done with malice. Obviously, some might not find that actually applicable to their lives, but I do think for many of us, a lot of us do end up kind of having a way more negative opinion of our childhood than really is deserving. However, this game wasn't the last game to leave me with a load of emotion when being an adult. It didn't bring me to a moment of extreme sadness like the next one did. So let's talk about my favourite protagonist in gaming and the game that changed my thoughts on gaming at the time, Red Dead Redemption 2. I played this game for the first time in 2022. It was the first game that I played specifically to make a video out of it for this channel. Due to my very perfectionistic mindset, I ended up struggling for about the last 5 years to play games and kind of shut off my brain from the overly productive loop. The whole time I would just feel really bad for playing games and as if I should be doing other things. My way of loopholing this was that I said to myself, if I'm going to play a game, I'm going to make a video out of it. So I checked this game out and it was one of the first games since Skyrim to truly leave me with that special sense of wonder. When I first started playing it, I wasn't expecting to enjoy it. With the lack of interest in the cowboy stories, and finding the gameplay so similar to GTA that it was jarring. However, playing the game, I started to really enjoy the experience, and it just kept growing more and more when it came to how much I was loving the game. Arthur Morgan is definitely one of the main reasons why I and many others love this game. Sure, the world is great, but the story of Arthur going through what he goes through throughout the entire game is something special to behold. The world of RDR2 is filled with many characters that just add to the character building experience of Arthur's story, and it's one of the only games that I've played that has left such a powerful impact emotionally. I think if I was playing this game for the first time now, I probably would have ended up crying when I finished this game. It again focused heavily on that emotional and mature story that I absolutely love. We go through and want to see what he sees. We understand and can't help to see him for more than the criminal that he blatantly is. The pacing of this game is also, in my opinion, perfect. I love every chapter, even the controversial one. People say that this game is really slow. I say that you lack the ability to just sit there and invest time into something. When you're used to nothing more than a 10-hour story, TikTok scrolling, and maybe some movies that are typically rammed with tons and tons of action, then I can understand why you can't sit through this game in particular. To me, this game is by far one of the best, most well thought out story experiences in the whole of gaming. We get enough time with each character to learn more and more about Arthur and the side of him that we didn't know prior to this game. It was incredibly refreshing, as we do have tons of games that are like movies, but for me, this game in particular was able to leave that impact. It left an impact because it was able to tap into all those emotions, but also show me again the power of gaming. Games come to you at the right time, in my opinion. I put off playing this game for a very long time. When I finally chose to say yes, it was during a time that I was only playing games that I had grown up with. I found myself struggling to even view it as worth the time to even invest into playing something. It was the first game, however, in recent memory that I was fully absorbed by. Nothing else was on my mind while I was playing this game, and the only thing I wanted to do was play the game. One thing that I don't think ever leaves you, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, is that feeling of not wanting the game to end. I absolutely loved my experience playing this, and it makes you not want to end. It's such a bittersweet moment when you finally finish the game. You know you love the experience. You know that you can just continue by either replaying or starting up from a different save, but there's just that feeling that maybe you should take a break. Maybe you should stop, because you've now got to the end of your experience. However, it also makes it incredibly special, as you can now play through it for a second, a third, a fourth, or however many times that you desire, and you can learn more and more while you're playing, because the game is so massive and there's so many different things that you can pick up on multiple playthroughs. It makes each adventure through as Arthur Morgan as special as it was the first time. However, you do know what's going to happen, but it now means that you can learn what all those hints were leading up to it. That feeling of wanting the story to continue, wanting to spend more time in the world, and wanting to spend more time with these characters is best described as bittersweet. The reason for this is because you are sad that it's coming to an end. You have the desire to continue, but you have the joy in remembering the experience that you've just gone through. This game was the first game to truly make me feel something more than just the comfort of something like Skyrim, and more than just the feelings of wanting the next game. This game was able to leave an impact on me on an emotional level, just because of the story being told, the story I was running away from. During my time thinking through the experiences that I've just mentioned to you and the impact that many other games have left me, I realised a few things. One of which is that for many of us, the reason that we love many of these games has nothing to do with the games being amazing. We all know that we love games that others look down on and absolutely hate, and the hate that they give them might be completely valid, but fundamentally, they are a part of our lives and helped us in those moments that we needed something to go to. Sure, running away from issues is definitely a bad thing, generally speaking, when you're disconnecting from every single bit of thing. However, it is sometimes something that allows you to just stay a little bit more sane for a little bit longer. I found this exact thing from you guys as well, from when I actually posed the question around this topic, and I found that a lot of people had this same sort of experience. Your favourite games are the ones that you went to or were playing at a moment where you were going through some form of mental turmoil or something big was happening in your life. Games like Skyrim, Assassin's Creed 2, Witcher 3 and Minecraft are all games that I played in moments of my life where I wanted to just do something else. I wanted to experience something that was taking me away from the world that I was actually existing in. Give me some form of joy in those moments that I didn't expect. Other games like Destiny 2, Black Ops 2 and Pokemon Black and White were all games that I played along with or directly with friends. Experiences that built and deepened friendships. Like I said in my video about multiplayer games, the issues isn't the games themselves, it's the people that we play with. Even the worst experiences will be fun when you're playing it with the right people. The impact left on us isn't from the game, but from the experience the game is able to attain for us. Instead of covering up for moments of extreme hardship, we find ourselves enjoying the feeling and impact that those games gave us with our friends, momentary acquaintances, or some people that we never knew but now are lifelong friends. The impact for those games is the memories they provide. We made those experiences, not just the game. The final is something that made me teary-eyed when I finished Spider-Man, and for many, people wept at the end of RDR2, which is the impact of an emotionally powerful narrative. Something many games struggle to do. Games are, in my opinion, the ultimate medium for creating these sorts of stories. You get the perspectives and thoughts that you would out of a book, the visual aid that you get from a film, and the ability to stay in the world with the characters for as long as you can, as you would with a show. Games can make us feel extreme ways when effort has been put in to craft an outstanding story. Gaming can help cover up issues we're facing, help us dive back into those exact memories with the right conditions, allow us to connect to people that we care for, and allow us to become one with the story being told and enjoy the world and the characters developed by the true people who love the story they're designing. Gaming isn't about the most technically impressive games out there. It's about helping people in moments they need to and making the games feel powerful enough for them to sit and truly enjoy. The thing that I wanted to leave you on is that a great game isn't just about the best game ever made. You might love a game that has been given a 2 out of 10 rating, but it gave you some form of feeling that you haven't experienced from anything else. It might be a game that is both a masterpiece visually and technically, but also gives you that impact as well, which doesn't mean that it's objectively better by any means, because obviously the way that you feel is an incredibly subjective experience. What gaming has lost is the care about the individual experience. We care too much about others' opinions. We watch reviews and critiques from people we think have good tastes in games, and with that, never actually experience the game for ourselves. And you never know, it could have been something that you were truly going to enjoy. I'm not telling you to go in blind and pay for games at full price when they might not be something for you and not have any other opinions to it, but what I am saying is don't let that cloud all of your judgment when, looking at a game. If you haven't played it, why shit on it in the first place? If you're someone who wants to create videos or just wants to give your opinion about a game, stop prefacing it with, I know it's not an amazing game, but just stop it, please. It's ridiculous. You can enjoy a game. This is something that I've seen with people talking about Fallout right now, and how the moment they talk about Fallout, they always have to preface it with, I know New Vegas is the best Fallout game. Just stop. You can enjoy a game without having to say how good the others are. Stop allowing the whole "I only play games that are 60 FPS" to be the reason to not check out a game. It's not personal preference, it's ignorance to what makes something amazing. The game isn't amazing just because it's got double the frames. It's amazing because of the stories being told, the experiences it's providing, or the thing it's helping you with. So if you're going to take anything away from this game, please go check out a game of some form that either has love from others or is a game that you've been wanting to check out for the longest time, but you look down on it because it has technical issues from your way of looking at games. Now though, that is the end of the video, so hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. It's a bit different, obviously. It's a more positive video, as many of you guys know. Mainly a lot of them have a more negative spin, but I also want to end them off always in a positive way. I've got many other videos talking about games in a more positive manner coming up in the future. I thought I'd just do this one because, you know, bit of fun. Something to talk about that I actually enjoy, talking about the games that I truly love. And yeah, stay tuned for future updates about different things. And with that all being said, make sure to go check out the Patreon if you want to support the channel, join the Discord if you're interested. And with that all being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.